Right. So let's go quickly. Right. So we have seen the rollback and roll forward. Any questions anyone has before we start? Okay. Okay. So let me go in. So next, I wanted to show you. Okay. Right. Let me, can you see my screen? I've shared. Share my screen.
No, no, your screen is not visible.
Okay. Let me share. Right. Okay. So let's start with this one. So what I have is I'll just show you. Let me show you this database. Okay, so this is the files I have. Okay, so I have already. Okay, what I'll do is in this database, this is in simple recovery mode. So what I'll do is first I'll try and shrink it. Uh, so let me show you the options. Okay, this is in simple recovery mode. So what I will do is because we inserted those many records. And my files, if you look at that, it is 1 MB growth. Each every is 1 MB growth. So my transaction log file is 361 MB. So now if I show you the virtual log files, okay, this is the command. There are two commands you can use. TVCC log info, that will give you the same information. It will give you the virtual log files. So if I go, this is here, if you look at this one, this is number here will give you how many virtual log files I have. So I had a very small 1 MB growth, so I have 315 virtual log files here. So, and this will give you all the information. What is the file size, the virtual log file size, each virtual log file size, and what is the start. And this doesn't give much more information, just gives you the number of count and what is the file size. But if you use this uh, function or a DMV. So this you need to provide the database name. That is my test one. So if I show you that again, it is the same information. But if you look at the number of virtual files, again, we will get the same 315 here down here. And another important thing is here you'll see is the log sequence number, or the virtual log file number, the sequence number, which was created first, second, and third. And another thing is status, is it is being used or not used. 0 is not being used, 2 is being used, active. And there is one more thing. I'll show you. And the size of that virtual log file, because I had given the file growth to be 1 MB, it has created 1 MB virtual log files. And there is a virtual log file active. This means, is there any active transaction on that virtual log file? Then it will show this as one. So we cannot shrink our file. If we this virtual log file will not be used, then we cannot shrink our transaction log file beyond this. So what I'll show you how to shrink this file, because this is a simple recovery. So we'll shrink it. We'll do the same thing again. We'll insert the data again and with a bigger file group so that we can see how many virtual log files are created, right? So let's do this. Uh, let me get this log space. So if I see in my test one, my log space used, this is another command you can use to find the log space. It is 12% used, rest is free, so I should be able to shrink it. So what I'll do is I will try and shrink it. So let's first get the size. This is how you could get the size. So my transaction log file is 361 GB, not GB, MB. So I'll try and shrink that. So this is the command you use to shrink the file. Okay, so now let's see how much size it is. Right, so it is 50 MB now. So now if we go and check how many log files it has, so let's have a look. Right, so it has 4 log files, and each log file is size is again 1 MB. Now, what I will do is I will just go and change this. Right, option. Properties. Okay, and files. So if I change this instead of 1 MB, if I put it to say 50, uh, 50 MB, auto group, and click on OK. Let's just install. Sorry, wait this. This around. Click on OK. Okay. So now I'll insert the file data again. So again, I'll try and insert 100,000 rows into the table, the same log test table I had earlier. So I'll insert that. It'll take around 30 seconds or more. So just let's wait. Let's just wait for a minute. Okay, so it's done that. So now if I go and check how many files I have, right? It just created 7 files. So what it did was, it took, when it grew, we had 4 files. Then it took the file size to be 50 MB, and then it took another file size also. And again, it just created 3. It took 50 size and just took. Sorry, here is the size. Okay, this is in 50 MB. So that's how the autogrow was, and this is where. So that's why we had less number of files. So if your autogrow is set to be good, then you will not have lot of virtual log files, right? So that is how you could control the number of virtual log files that you have in your database. So, uh, so if you find a situation where you have a lot of virtual log files, what you'll have to do is to resolve that. You'll have to shrink it to the minimum, and then give it a chunk of autogrow, good autogrow, so that it doesn't it doesn't create a lot of virtual log files for each autogrow. That's because each time it autogrows, or it will create virtual log files, right? So that's how you can use that. So mm, that's all I wanted to show you. Yeah. Anyone has any question? Anything that you want to see if the transaction log fills up, and then I have not tried that demo, but we can give it a go. If we fill the transaction log and the database doesn't start.
Hello, Nick. Hi. I
Yeah,
have a doubt. What is the
yeah.
difference between the log backup and virtual log files?
Okay. So log backup is you're taking the backup of the transaction log, right? So the virtual log
Yeah.
files are there's nothing. So within the physical log file, so you have a transaction log file, maybe in our database. I'll just show you. So sorry, yeah, sorry. Let's do it. Yes, if I do this, right? This is my log file. This is the physical file on the disk, and within that log file, there will be smaller chunks of SQL Server will not will divide this file into smaller files, which will be your virtual log files. So virtual log files is a logical concept. It is not a physical concept. There is so logically it will divide the file. So 72 MB that I have, it will be divided into virtual log files within that. So that's what we are seeing here. So if I see here, yeah. Okay, so it has 7 virtual log files. So this is the starting point, and this is the size of these virtual log files. My total, if you looked at the total LDF file, it was 73 MB, and it has divided that into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 virtual log files. So these are this is where your transactions will be written first. So it will not write the transactions in the entire file first. So if you have a 100 GB file, it will divide that into virtual log files within that, and then it will start writing to each virtual log file. Does that make sense? Anupriya? Yeah.
While we are taking the log backup, is it contains the information of the virtual files?
Okay, so when you take, yes, only so when you take the backup, it will contain, yes, it will contain the information of the virtual log files as well. Yeah, that is it. Contain
Okay.
all the, yeah, active and inactive transactions, everything is written. So that you
Thank
can
you.
recover. Yeah, that's right. Any other questions? Anyone? So let me show you. Let's try and fill this transaction log. Let's see one more. So, okay. option. It's in simple. Yeah, so let's do one thing, files. I'll limit the auto grow to say, let it be limited to, I know, if I make it to another 50 MB size to be say 100 MB, I think that should be enough. So let's click OK. And let's click OK. Right. Okay, so it says must be greater than 100 MB, right? So let's do this. Okay, so limited to 100 MB. Let's click OK. Size. Let's try this. Yeah, I think so it's already that one. So let's put it to 100. So let's see what is this is my test one, right? So I'm on the wrong. So let's use this one. Let's run this one. Okay. So let's fill this up. Let's run this. Yeah, let's run this and see how much it fills. Let's see. Let's fill up the transaction log. Okay. Let me start this session. Okay, this is another command you can use. This is TBCC SQL log space. It gives you space on all the data, all the transaction, all the databases transaction logs. So master, so it will give you how much is log space used, and based on that you can shrink the file if you want to, and the transaction log file. So we were doing this one is 50%. Okay, so let's see. It filled the entire thing. No, it didn't fill the entire thing. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, so I'll take some time to fill it, so I'll leave that. I wanted to show you one more thing. So there are some useful scripts. So if you wanted to find out on your databases, uh, on your server, if you want to find out which databases have VLF virtual log files more than 100, you can run this command. So it's again using the sysdn this dnb log info to get an information. So right now in my server there is no file, so you can use that. And this is gives you all information about the your virtual log files. So this is on the current database. So if I run this, okay, so there it will give you how many virtual files are there, what is the minimum virtual, how many files are active, and log free space, 80% is free, and 20% how much is the active log which is being used. So this will give you all the information about your transaction log. So this is another command you can use. So this is yeah. So that's all I had to show today. Anyone have any questions? Right. Yeah. So, has anyone faced a scenario where their transaction log is getting failed? That is the most common problem that we get. So, how do you guys resolve that?
I have a questions that
Yeah.
the how many virtual files are in use that won't be called as active log files. So
Sorry, I didn't get you. Sorry.
the number of virtual files we are using are in use. So
Right.
that is called as active log file.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the active virtual log file. Right. That's right.
Okay, so which are not in use,
Right.
like the very least they are used. So that is called as inactive. So we will truncate that, right?
Yeah, we can truncate that. So, yeah, it will allow you to truncate only the inactive ones. Yeah, that's right.
How to
Okay.
So,
So
identify
in
which are active and which are inactive? Is
yeah.
there any
So,
query?
yeah. So if you run this, sorry, let's show you. Um, and if we have this right here, so, okay. So, yeah, this thing. Okay, so if I run this on log info, this is the query. It will show you which are active. So it will say VLF active. So if it's active is 1, and it's not active 0. This is what you want to see how many. So in my transaction log file, my four are active. So if I this is was in simple. So if I run a checkpoint now, does it matter? So if I run a checkpoint, this is how you run manual checkpoint I was talking about earlier. So if you run a checkpoint, let's have a look again. So see now your only active is 1. So what had happened was the committed transactions were written to the data
Yes.
file. So now this is inactive again. So this could be reused. So SQL Server will reuse which are inactive, and then yeah, when you're truncating also, it will only let you truncate which are active.
So which those files which are written to the data file that becomes inactive, means that we
Yeah.
can truncate.
Yeah, so when you're doing, so you cannot, so when you do a DBCC shrink file, okay, let me do let's do it. But you cannot decide which, but you can know how much smaller your database file transaction or file can go to, because based on this, it will not let me, so it is like 50 MB, so it will not let me go beyond less than 50 MB because this is one is active, right?
Okay.
Okay, so that's how you could decide. You can get to know that. So let me do. So if I do this one, let me try and shrink this one. So say this is my files, and we had 200. So now if I try and shrink, so let's say I give it 25 MB, I want it to be 25. I want to shrink it to 20, let's say. So if I run that, right? So now if I see this, it won't not let me go beyond 50 because the one file is active, right? The 50 MB file, a virtual log file, sorry. So it will not let me shrink it beyond this file.
Okay. So if we are shrinking like beyond that means it is the error.
Yeah, it will not give any error. It will not let you do it. So it doesn't give any errors. If I change this file, it doesn't give any error. It won't make any difference. Right. So when I run this command, it
Uh,
will say this many are being used. So it doesn't let you shrink it beyond this. So if I run this now, yeah, and it won't let you do that.
so what is minimum LSM? Like in some the websites I have read about this inactive and active file, they have focused on this minimum LSM. Like they told that if minimum LSM, depend on the minimum LSM, we can decide what is active and what is inactive.
Okay. So I didn't get your question. Can you come just repeat your question
That
again?
minimum log sequence number.
Right.
So, in some websites, they have shown like in depending on the minimum log sequence number, we can decide which virtual files are active and which are inactive.
Okay, that's another way of doing, but this one I find this is easier. So it will gives you very clearly which are active. So this will give you right. This is active. So you don't need to worry about. So it has the log sequence number as well, virtual file log sequence number, and this is also there. So you could use this. This is because this number is very confusing and I'm not able to
Okay,
understand. So this is much more easier. So you could use that.
okay.
Right. So
So
that's why.
those are inactive. Their LSM numbers are like zeros,
Yeah,
are in
because that is,
zeros.
yeah, that's right. And this is similar, maybe you might have looked, and so this is the LSN number that it won't let you shrink, right? So they might have a similar technique of finding out the LSN and then shrinking at least.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? So you have to be careful, like so once you create your database, if you create your database with an initial transaction of size of say just few MBs, it might let you shrink it to that level. But it is recommended that whenever you start create your new transaction log for new database, create your transaction log file to be a bigger size. So it doesn't have to grow that often, and you don't have too many virtual log files. That's why you can. Okay. Right. I think that's all we have. If you have any other questions, you can just put in the chat now, or in the LinkedIn, or on the chat on the WhatsApp group that we have. So yeah. Thanks everyone for joining. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.